What's going on, guys? It's KayGee here on the Football Capital with my guests and my co-hosts for this episode. This is the round 4 wrap-up. We've got Seba. Back again, mate. It's
came back after a loss, eh?
Yeah, I was going to say you've made your return after a loss. Most of us aren't happy on this pod, with the exception of Lachie. But we do have Lachie from Coast Watch Football. Lachie, how are you, mate?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Always, mate. And Robby, mate, we were having a bit of a chat just before we jumped on. Mate, not the best feeling from Saturday night?
At least the girls won yesterday against Canberra, so, not all bad.
Got to take something out of it. And look, it actually caught me a little bit by surprise that we had a Tuesday night match to kick off the round. I literally did not know it was happening. I thought it was a very quick turnaround with the whole Melbourne City and Melbourne City and Perth Glory game. Again, no Sturridge this time around. He did have his durag, so maybe the haircut didn't quite go well enough for him for this week. But I think maybe business as usual in a way in terms of Melbourne City picking up the win, but it wasn't easy. Who wants to have first shot at this one, boys?
I'll go.
I'm happy to jump in.
I'll go. Look, Melbourne City, they lost last week, right? A lot to come back from. Perth Glory, they got a decent team, but they're at home. It was a tough win. They really had to battle a couple chances here and there. But they got the job done, 1-0, and they're back where they should be, in the winning ways.
I think we sort of thought they were going to bounce back. I know on the last episode, Joss sort of touched on it, and I know, Lachie, you mentioned it. Lachie, how did you see this one pan out?
Yeah, like Perth Glory, credit to Perth Glory who held on for almost the entire game. Like the goal came in the 88th minute. Cameron Cook, who's like the third choice Perth Glory keeper, had a fantastic game. Like he was keeping them in the game for so much of it. Daryl Latchman at the back was solid as well. But yeah, important for Melbourne City because if they hadn't won this game, the draw against Adelaide United, losing to Western, and if they didn't get a result here, it would have been concerning. And, there's already a couple teams in the league that are sort of underperforming. So an important win for them and for Perth Glory. I think it's still a little bit worrying for them in attack. They weren't looking that dangerous at all, through the game. I can't recall how many shots they had, but it wouldn't have been many. So yeah, an important win for Melbourne City just to get them back on track, just to stabilise things.
Yeah, and Robby, your thoughts?
I guess it's the thing that they're making it known that they are going to be, in contention for that Premier's plate. So, full credit to Perth. They definitely gave it to them. But, again, Melbourne City are just showing what that tycoon money can do for you.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, look, you mentioned tycoon money, but I'm just thinking, obviously Perth made probably a splash in terms of names that they've brought into the club this year. One being Daniel Sturridge, which we know of, but also Brad Jones, the keeper. And we're really not seeing, I guess, the fruits of what was supposed to happen in terms of bringing those players in. So there's that concern for Perth. But at the same time, the names that Melbourne City have, and they're not convincing. I thought they would have taken things to a next level this year rather than be a little bit more inconsistent. And I just look and I continue to look at the ladder, and even though some teams are really underperforming, I think this is probably going to be the most open A-League season that we're going to have for a long time because these guys aren't firing.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams that haven't quite hit top gear yet, and you're wondering what's going to happen. Like with Perth, in regards to what you just said about the players that they've brought in, I guess in a way the fans do have a lot to look forward to still, and there will be improvements when these players start playing. Obviously, Sturridge will be looking to get a couple goals with the name that he has and the things he's done in world football. How long it takes for him to actually start playing, we'll see. But they could have used him, this week. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the ladder as well for Perth Glory, and I know Borcher touched on it very early on in the season, but they've got a run of away games. And look, they did take 3 points away from Melbourne Victory that we probably didn't expect, but again, it's not quite gelling. And I don't know, you boys, maybe like you want to chime in, but is it already going to be panic stations considering how many more away games? Because I know that Central Coast have played 3 already, and this was their first home game this weekend. how do you feel that impacts the team?
Yeah, it's an important point that you raise. Yeah, the run of away game certainly doesn't help Perth Glory, and I really feel for them because it's a tricky situation. And yeah, not having those key players, and another one that I don't think you brought up there, Brandon O'Neill, who's over in Western Australia. I think he's expecting the arrival of his child or something like that.
Correct.
So like they're missing key personnel. So yeah, that win, it cannot be understated how important that win against Victory was last week. Because had they not have gotten a result there, you know, I'll tell you what, it'll be interesting to see how they go against Brisbane next week because, yeah, with this run of away games and without these key players, they could struggle. So, but you know, they could get a result against Brisbane on the weekend, and that'll make things look a little bit better for them. But yeah, they've got a lot of work to do, Perth Glory.
Yeah, you just touched on it. Sorry, go, Robbie.
Yeah, they don't have a good run either. I mean, you look at it this way: they got Perth got Brisbane Roar, then they've got us at home. At our home, Sydney FC, then Macarthur, and then Western Sydney Wanderers. I mean, I can see at least probably 6 easy points there with Sydney and Western Sydney Wanderers. But sorry, gotta just jab a little bit.
That's all right.
And probably
Now's the time.
draw against us, given our form.
We'll take the punches for now. We'll take the punches for now. But look, as we sort of said, job done. 3 points. Melbourne City, they take it away. Probably expected. That's how the predictions rolled out. But still not convincing. But hey, You know what? You just got to win 1-0, right? And that's what they've managed to achieve. But a team that has definitely been picking up on form, Newcastle Jets. Man, like we spoke about them last week, and look, I didn't see 4-0 coming, but we all knew that something was coming there. You know, I've got to give credit to the manager. Jeez, like he's turned his team into real contenders. And as a Western Sydney Wanderers fan, seeing Jordan O'Doherty and Costa Grozos, I think, like out there starting and running amok with the team that he's got, man, it's. I want to take this Newcastle team and adopt them and make them Wanderers.
It'll change when they put the jersey on.
Yeah. Thoughts, boys?
Well, look, man, there was some good football. Like the thing about Newcastle's play in this one was just how well they were doing the short passing outside the box where there's no real space to play with, and they're just knocking it around, and it left the Wellington Phoenix defenders like flat-footed. They're just watching where's it going to go. They're waiting for a shot that's not coming, and they're getting the ball moved around them. And special shout out to Daniel Pena, who he had a freak of a game. This kid is pretty special, man. Like he played very well, pulled a lot of the strings, got himself a goal at the end there, and man, 4-0. That's a good result, great result.
Yeah, and I think, Lockie, you touched on Pena last week, right? And we're talking about, you know, what he's going to bring to the game. Thoughts now, Lockie, maybe from your perspective, considering, you know, the first game you played against Newcastle, and I think it was a 2-1 loss, correct?
Well, yeah, 2-1 loss for the Jets, yeah. Yeah,
sorry, for them. But, you know, probably now, you've probably played them at the right time before they started gelling, and look at what they're achieving now.
100%. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I put out a tweet actually after that game. I was like, I'm so thankful Mariners played Jets in round 1 when they weren't quite clicking just yet. But yeah, it's been I think this performance has been building over these last couple of weeks. You know, against Wanderers, that first half against Wanderers a couple of weeks ago, they were, you know, outperforming them. And then obviously coming back from 2 goals down against Sydney FC, it's really clicking now. And it's, you know, I think this Jets attack, from what we saw on Friday, they have the potential to pull apart any defense in the A-League. Like, I genuinely believe that. The way that, you know, Mikkel Datsi, this striker, like he's not a striker that just sits up front. He drops back so much. At one point he was like dropping back to the right fullback position, just to pick up the ball. It was just the fluidity they have amongst that front four. Yeah, Bumal, you know, Valentino Yule has made a fantastic start to the season. Daniel Pena, these guys are clicking so well, and it's all because of Arthur Pappas, because he's got them playing a very high tempo, you know, high intensity style of football, and it worked for them. And the most impressive thing is, as well, is that you have to consider that Wellington Phoenix are one of the best defensive sides in the competition, you know, defending with 2 blocks of 4, and they dismantled them. And I think it was less of a you know, a thing about Wellington being poor and more about Jets just being on top of their game. So, yeah man, I'm like, I think every team is going to be scared to face the Jets off the back of this performance. But the question is, can they keep it going? So we'll have to wait and see.
that's always going to be the case with any of these teams that probably don't have the depth that we suspect or expect from those title challenging teams. But Robbie, your thoughts on the match?
Dangerous. Yeah, as you said, Jets have got me scared as soon as we play them. I think the craziest part about it is I watched obviously the mini match on Paramount, ended up having a look at the stats as well, and what blew me away was that Jets had over 200 passing. Actually had 200 more passes than Phoenix. The possession itself was 61-39. So you can just see they dominated all over the park. What will interest me is after the January transfer window, is to see whether they keep all of their players and see if there's any that do get picked up by other clubs, or worst case scenario, start getting those ambitions for overseas. So it will be an interesting transfer window for the Jets, and I'm hoping for their sake, after the last few years that they've had, that they do get to keep most of their squad, because they really have gelled. They've definitely got something there that the rest of the clubs are looking at and seeing if they can somehow apply that to their own team.
Yeah, look, you touch on that, and I think if anyone knows about losing players to go overseas, definitely Lachie would definitely know about that. Central Coast has just been that club that have always churned over some really, really good players. Just top of my head, Matty Ryan, Tommy Rogic, Mustafa Amini, and there's more. Right, there's definitely more. What I want to do is also give credit to Pappas, because I think I was having a conversation with another group of boys. I think it might have been the RBTV boys, and we're talking about, he's come through the ranks, sort of did the whole MPL thing, and I know that, for example, in Adelaide, same thing's happening with your club as well, Robbie, in regards to somebody who knows the local talent, has worked with them, and literally brought the team up, and if they can maintain it, or sustain it, I should say, then you know what, they're gonna be in there at the end of the season. So it'll be an interesting one, but full credit to them. I'm really happy for Newcastle Jets, because they're playing some attractive football, and that's what we want to see in A-League, and hopefully their fans can continue to go out and support them. But nobody wants to face them right now. So 2-2 draw with us, 2-2 draw with you guys. I think lucky you guys got them at a good time in round one. Yeah. Very, very good. We'll move on to the Western United Brisbane Roar game. 1-0 here. I know that I predicted a 1-1, but I'll tell you, I'll just kickstart it. Brisbane had no idea. They had no idea about where the goal was, what they were going to do, how they were going to move the ball. Even after conceding, I thought, you know what, they might start putting some passes together, move the ball, go really aggressive, pin Western United in, but it almost like they didn't even have the ambition or desire to go at Western United and pick up a goal. If anything, I thought Western United were going to pick up a second and a third and roll on.
They could have had a fair few in that game. I think Lachie Wales was very unlucky to score. He slid one just past the keeper that just went just wide.
Of the post, yep.
Yep. But like you said, Brisbane looking not good.
Yeah,
they struggled big time.
I thought they were gonna do something in this game, because whilst they've been losing matches, or they haven't been on the best form, they've played some really tough teams, and I thought, respectfully, they've been in every match. It's not like they've been shellacked in any way. So I thought, okay, Western United, good team, they're running into some form, but I thought this was the one where if they picked up a point or took something away from the game, that perhaps it starts pushing their season forward, but they sit dead last in the league at the moment. So, I don't know. Boys, Robbie, maybe if you want to have a go?
Look, I guess the best way I can describe it was that, the way they played, they couldn't have even scored in the brothel, even with a free coupon,
Yep.
I mean, Western United doubled their shots on target, or shots, sorry, even. possession, even though they had full possession, they just did not know what to do with it. So I think they've got some major issues with their final third, and just being able to retain the possession in the midfields. As soon as they had, boot and ball, they were just looking at passing it off. They didn't look comfortable. They didn't look easy with possession, and quite frankly, Western United, as they do, they just knew how to press and push them to that edge of either doing a stupid uh, interception or yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what the answers are for Brisbane Roar. I hope they don't find it before they come up against us, because I'd much rather play that Brisbane Roar than the ones we've had in the last few seasons.
Lachie, I'm gonna turn to you with something. Who do you think is their biggest loss for Brisbane Roar? Who's the one? Oh, I've got somebody on top of my head, but I just want to know, in your opinion, maybe if it's one person or two players that are no longer there. That's I guess caused Brisbane Roar to be those cellar dwellers for the first 4 rounds of the A-League.
Oh, there's a couple names that you could definitely go for, but for me, it's Riku Danzaki, who he brought flair and excitement to that side, and that's what they're lacking. And I think Brisbane fans probably would have hoped that would have now come from someone like Nikola Miljuznic, who, Robbie being an Adelaide fan, I'm sure we all know how good Nikola Miljuznic can be, but it's funny how it's not clicking. I think in this game Brisbane reverted back to like a 4-3-3 sort of formation. I can't recall the last time they played with 4 defenders at the back. It's been a while because they're usually a team that plays with 3 central defenders. So Warren Moon tweaked the system, and still it just wasn't looking any better at all. They were just ran out of ideas every time they got into the final third. They didn't look like threatening at all. And Lascano, this Argentine striker star, I think made his first start in the A-League in this game, and barely got a look in it at all. So, look, for me, Riku Danzaki is an example of one of those key players, and they had, Joey Champion, Dylan Wenzel-Hawes, and even Jamie Young in goals. There's a real lack of, I don't know, like star quality in this Brisbane lineup. And, they've started the season, 4 games without a win. They're going to struggle this year for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I will say, and this is one thing that I'm sort of relieved with, people are starting to see what we had an issue with Miljuznic as well. He's consistently inconsistent. He will have an absolute banger of a game, and then for the next 6 rounds, you'll go, where the hell is he? He's nowhere to be seen. His touch is absolutely on poor form, and most of the time he's collateral damage rather than anything else. So, unfortunately, I think that's one problem Brisbane Roar are going to have. You'll see him absolutely smash it out of the park, get man of the match, and then you won't see him for another 6 rounds. So, unfortunately, he's not going to be the solution, the answer, or the be-all and end-all for Brisbane Roar. So, they're going to have to start looking at option B, C, and D.
Yeah, I think they're definitely at that point right now. I don't think anyone would have predicted them to be sitting last. We know that they lost a fair few players, and Wenzel-Hawes was a big one for me. But you know what? We've known the Brisbane Roar sides in the past that have dominated the league. It's maybe their turn. their turn for a while.
It's the other cycle.
Yeah, the cycle's now coming full stretch. But hey, look, Western United, another win, well deserved. So they take the points and they move on. Speaking of moving on, I know we had a bit of a chat about it before we went live, but Robbie, we dig into your Adelaide United versus Melbourne Victory game. Unfortunately, you guys went down 2-1. What I will say from my perspective is that it was a little bit of a back and forth type of game. I know that Melbourne had some clear chances towards the end of the first half to maybe go up early. Marco Rojas missed a few, or there was a save, there was a post and whatnot. But then, I know that they got the first goal, but right after you equalise, there was an opportunity for Adelaide United to take the lead and go 2-1, and probably short of getting the result. But then Melbourne Victory, their travelling fans, respect to them. There was I think you said there was about 3,000 of them.
That's probably what they're quoting, but I definitely think it was just under 1,000.
Okay, but still, to get 1,000 travelling fans is not a joke either. Especially
in this day and age.
Yeah, and especially interstate. So full respect there. But if you want to dissect this one, Robbie, we'll start with you, man. What sort of went wrong?
We're in the same boat, I guess. Where the possession's there, we're pressing. We can definitely take it. But I guess, as Carl was saying in his post conference yesterday, Saturday night, we're just having trouble with that final third. Unfortunately, Ansel, and wish him speedy recovery, was confirmed as rupturing something in his Achilles. So he's gone for about 12 months. So that's one of our centre backs, pretty much, gone from the squad. I think all in all, the boys did show some fight. Again, the biggest issue we're finding is we get it down to the final third, just tap around, and then by the time that we're starting to figure out what we're looking at doing with the actual ball, getting into the box, or at least trying to make an attempt on shot. Most squads have figured out. You get 10 men behind that play, and you've got no chance of getting in there. So I think one thing that we do have available to us at the moment is Issa is definitely giving us a hand. He's definitely leading things from the centre mid role. But unfortunately, as much as it pains me to say, full credit to Victory because they took the chances when they had it.
Yeah, and look, Yengi, while there's a lot of show and a lot of promise in him, there might be that you might need some reinforcements. Thoughts?
Well, that's it. I mean, we do have Blackwood on the back burner. I know he's close to match fitness, so I guess it's always that situation. You guys know yourself. As soon as you've got someone vying for your spot, you seem to be 110% more putting in that effort. So at the moment, I guess that's the thing is he does know the Blackwood's fighting for it. Do I think Blackwood's a starter? Probably not. I think Yingy's still probably the opportunity. He's going to be the starting striker. Blackwood to come on probably around the 60th minute, which is my hope, but more likely be around the 80th, knowing, Carl's, very late substitutions. But, I think that's the thing is that with Blackwood, you do have that striking ability. He's multiple times in the past put his critics to bed. And unfortunately, though, he's a lot like Miliusnic in my books, where he's consistently inconsistent. He'll absolutely smash out the park for maybe 2 or 3 games and then just fall silent for the rest of the season. So it's just about getting that form, I guess. Unfortunately, at the moment, we're still trying to find it.
Yeah, and Lockie, I'll jump over to you for a second just in regards to this game. But Adelaide United now sit in 10th spot. And, it's still early days, still round 4, and they probably don't have the woes that Brisbane have, I think, at the moment. Where do you see it turning around for Adelaide?
Yeah, it's a tricky one because, as you guys touched on, like it's all there for them. I think they had a bit more possession in that game. The shots were there, and there's a number of teams in the competition now that are showing good signs and are showing promise, but they're not able to find that killer pass or that final finish. And is it a question of whether is Cassini Yengi up for it? And I really rate Cassini Yengi. I think he's a fantastic player and has a lot of potential. And I like that Calvert's really backing him and giving him a solid run in this lineup. But yeah, it's on paper it's a good side, this Adelaide United side. I think the results will come, and it is early on the season. And I tell you what, it's interesting too, because I think early on the season, had Adelaide won this game, which they probably could have on another day, they would have started off the season with 1 win and 3 draws, and without a loss. So it's sort of funny how, especially in these early rounds, especially in a very competitive A-League landscape that we're in right now, one result can just tip the scales, and all of a sudden Adelaide are now bottom 3 without a win. So yeah, all of a sudden there's a bit of concern there. So yeah, it's tricky to see where that's going to come, but yeah, Calvert, some work to do.
Yeah, look, definitely agree. And one thing I wanted to touch on, because I know that Robby and myself and Seba sort of spoke off air, and Seba, I'll come to you on this one because, and we'll cover all the games, but I just wanted to talk about active support and fans just for a moment. I know that Robby made a comment off air in regards to, some people blaming the active support for not being loud enough or not getting involved enough. And on the other end, there's there's a lot of us do post-match interviews. Like I saw that you had some content yesterday after the game as well, and obviously I jump on RBTV and do some of that as well. But really, from a fan perspective, and this is only in my own opinion, and I'll get you to chime in first, the fans will only react to whatever they see on the pitch. right? And if it's good, it's good. If it's great, if it's bad, it's bad. And if it's mediocre, then you'll get a split. But this talk around, the fans weren't loud enough, they didn't get involved enough, or whatever it may be. Thoughts?
It's just people trying to make noise, where there's nothing to talk about. Like, it's not up to the supporters to push on the players. It's quite the opposite, in my opinion. I actually think, like what you said, it's the fans react to what's happening on the field. Now, of course, you get behind your team, you're cheering them and all that stuff, but there's only so much you can do from the sideline. You know what I mean? Like, I did speak on the week 1 review about how important the fans can be, and they're very, very important to what's happening on the field. But like, they need something from the players. To blame the active support for absolutely anything is a joke. Like, there's no discussion there. In the game itself, like, if Robbie said you were copying it from last week, like, they played well. It was unfortunate that they didn't get the win, that they actually lost. But man, it could have gone either way. Like, they played really good. They had chances. I wouldn't put that on the fans. And any criticism towards the active support, the people criticizing, like, what are they doing? Are they getting involved, helping the active support grow? Are they helping you, Rob? I have an inclination to think no. So what do you guys want, Like, what's going on?
Exactly that. And Robbie, just to touch on it, because, as a fellow active supporter and hearing a little bit of the gripe that was coming through from some of the fans, I mean, an opportunity to sort of clear the air from your perspective. Thoughts on the whole situation?
Look, if anyone can come to me with an absolute resolution as to how we fix active support and fix the crowds and fix attendance in Australian football, I'll pay them $1 million. It's as simple as that. For us, we've been through a situation of changes. We've had a lot of pressures from having to sort of conform to a standard and a level of political correctness that a lot of the older people and the older, the original,
the previous generations
groups,
of fans. Yep.
Yeah. If they were to have been asked to do it, most of them would have folded the active supports to begin with, and we did see that. For us, especially in the Red Army Bay, we will give it 110%. Are we going to be chanting every 5 seconds though? No. I mean, I'll sit there, I'll drum for 90 minutes. And if anyone doesn't believe me, you watch the replays of, even the game on Saturday night. I was there, my hands are pretty much shot still from 90 minutes of drumming, for our chants. And, I guess the other thing as well is we are going to have a situation and lulls like anyone does. We're not going to be, on point 24/7. We are volunteers. We are simply doing it for the love of the game and the love of our club. So, as you said yourselves, if you are wanting to see it grow and wanting to be in a situation where you're an inclusive family, and that's the thing. For me, Red Army is not just an active support group. They are my family. I spend a lot of time outside of the games with these people because, I consider them a family to me. So, for that, I guess, if you want to see what it's about and you want to see it grow and develop and be a part of it, just come and see us. We are approachable. We're not a clique. We're not us and them. Be a part of it.
Yep.
It's not that hard.
It's an inclusive environment because at the end of the day, we all as fans want to be able to support our team. So regardless of which end you sit out, whether you sit on the sidelines or whatever, if you're wearing the same jersey, that's all that matters. And I think, like, you just want to jump to you in regards to the fans because you did do the post-match interviews. What's the vibe like out of Central Coast at the moment? I know we're going to touch on the game, but just tell me a little bit about how the fans are feeling at the moment.
I mean, like, I've been going to Mariners games since I was a kid, so like I've sort of seen the membership numbers and the attendances grow and fall, but at the moment I think there is a sense of optimism, specifically at the Central Coast, just because of last season was a successful one, and previously we picked up 4 wooden spoons in 5 years, so we were down struggle street for a long time, and it is turning around now, and again to get our first win at home, and I know we'll touch on the game shortly, but. Yeah, it was great. I did some post-match interviews with the fans outside the stadium, and I was stoked. There was so many people that turned up, and people that just wanted to come down or just have a chat, just about the game. And I think in the A League, all across all the clubs, there's a really solid sort of bubble of fans that we have. Like guys like us, we're passionate about the A-League and about our teams. And you're right, you guys are right. Like there is no simple answer to how it grows. But I do like the point that we've raised that the attendance numbers go along with the performances on the field. And we, as a Mariners fan, we saw that exactly happen, at the start of last season. Our numbers like 5,000, 6,000, elimination against MacArthur at the end of the season, 15,000, which is the biggest number we've had since 2013. So look, if the performances are there, if the results are there, the numbers will turn up. And being a Mariners fan since I was a kid, I can certainly back that statement.
It was definitely good to see the post-match interviews. So if anyone hasn't caught them, jump on the Coast Watch Football Instagram and check out some of Lockie's content, because it was another one of those clubs where it's actually good to see them continue to succeed after a good season last season, right? You don't want that good one year, bad another, and back and forth. You're either shit all the time like Western Sydney Wanderers at the moment for the last 6 years, or you can see something building. And my biggest concern was the fact that there was the coaching appointment changed at Central Coast, but Nick Montgomery's done a good job, and we'll touch on that in a second. But we'll wrap up the Saturday night matches with my Western Sydney Wanderers. We're still wondering what's going on. Western Sydney Wanderers 0. MacArthur Bulls 2. For me, I'll go on a rant a bit later, but it was
start it now. Go. Let's go. What's wrong?
Everyone saw me do this 2 weeks ago, right? About this whole, we're all being fooled, and everyone had a bit of a chuckle, and then I reposted it the other day, and I'm like, everyone's still being fooled, because we rock up as fans, as we always do, because we love our club, and there's always optimism at the start of the season, and we got a little bit of lip service from the coach. They're doing all these inspirational videos. Then the captain comes out and jumps on the fan channel RBTV and tells us the team camaraderie, and this is what's going to happen, and we're going to do this, and we're fighting for the badge, and we've recruited local talent, people that were from Western Sydney, and their names, Dimi Petratos, and you've got Terry Antonis, and you've got Reese Williams, and you've got Tom Ahmed, and you've got everybody else, and then, that was the perfect sound effect for that moment, and I'll tell you that the vibe turned really ugly come full time.
Yeah.
That's what it was, and like I was literally, head in hands, just thinking, what did I just watch? But what happened after the match, in the post matches, and just the vibe outside the stadium was ugly. We'll touch on the match now. Whilst it was a dominant half from the Western Sydney Wanderers, they really didn't go anywhere with it. So I don't know, Seba, I don't know if you caught the game, but your thoughts?
Man, I guess it's more of the same from the Wanderers, right? Like, the potential's there. They got the players, like you just mentioned. They're good players on paper. They should be doing something better. Like start of the season, even I was thinking this is a big year for the Wanderers. But then you go and watch what happens on the pitch, and man, like you just said it yourself, we're asking like if how the fans rock up according to how the team's going on the field. You seen like the vibe after the game. When you've lost, like how's that going to affect next week and the week after? Like
after 2 losses, mind you, we lost to Arpia on Tuesday, and that was ugly.
Yeah, so like it's not good enough, and we're talking about how important this club is to the league. Get someone better that can do a better job. We need someone with a plan, as your boy is saying. They need to fix this quick, because the fans, like, they can be nasty. The Wanderers fans are quite outspoken, as we know. They're not scared to show their feelings, and this team needs to have their fans behind them. So wake up, start getting some points. That's coming from a Sydney fan, Even I want you guys to be doing a bit better. Like, it's an exciting team on paper. We need to see that on the field now. I believe that they can beat most of the teams in the league. I really do. And the way that they're playing just doesn't show that at all.
Probably another point more frustrating is I don't think MacArthur are the teams they should be leading the comp either. I don't think they've showed enough
It's early days, man. Like we're seeing, like Adelaide are not going to be where they are right now. Even in like a month's time, I don't think so. And MacArthur, how long they can stay up there, we'll see. But the Wanderers now need to turn it around. It's only 4 games in, but only this many games in. That goes away real quick, and before you know it, the season's done for you.
Yeah, look, I think always a good judge in terms of how your season's starting is probably 10 points from 5 games. You can get 3 wins, a draw and a loss. That sort of gets you if you're in and around there, you're okay.
Yeah.
But, and again, 3 points changes things on the ladder very quickly in the
Yeah.
first 5 rounds. So you could be top to bottom like within a blink of an eye. I don't know, for you boys that were watching the game, maybe lucky we go to you first. Thoughts?
Yeah. Well, first of all, echoing what you guys said, like with the personnel that Wanderers have, they should be doing better. They should be doing better. You know, Petratos, Tomer Hamed, you know, Ogawa shows a lot of promise. Terry Antonis, Ugarkovic. Like, this is a top quality A-League side, and they are not performing like it. And Carl Robinson is running out of time game by game. And, you know, I think about it, I was like, if this was like, you know, Wanderers, they're like, what, 1 win, 2 draws, 1 loss. Like if this was like maybe like Perth Glory or Brisbane Roar or you know, maybe like a team not with the stature of Western Sydney Wanderers, who I believe are a big club in the A-League, you know, I don't think there'd be as much drama. But because of Wanderers, because of the success that they had in their early years, there's now this pressure to perform, which, you know, and Wanderers fans should expect that. They should expect success from this club. And it's not coming. And yeah, in my opinion, this, when you look at it on paper, this is the best Wanderers side that they've had for a few years, in my opinion. And it's not clicking. And yeah, I mean, credits MacArthur in this game. Like, they defended resolutely. They're keeping clean sheets so far this season. Tom Uscock was massive at the back once again, and even got on the score sheet. I thought Danny De Silva looked good in attack. And you know, like MacArthur, like, Tommy Urich not involved at all at the moment. Ulysses Devere was out for this game. Like, so they're missing some key players. So, and yeah, so credit to Bulls for holding on and getting a gritty win. But yeah, a lot of work to be done for Carl Robinson if he wants to save his job.
Well, look, there was an image at the end of the game, or towards the end of the game, where Labano Halidi and Robinson are both sitting, you know, a seat away from each other, and they're sort of looking and they're clueless, and you're like, regardless of the result, a manager will always sort of back his team, and you know, he'll go out there and show some optimism and speak, and I will give him a little bit of credit where he went and said, okay, if you want to blame anyone, blame me. Dude, trust me, everyone was blaming you. Nobody else was blaming anybody else, because you put together a system that doesn't quite have an end game, in a sense, and it was it was really frustrating. And more frustrating than that is the result from Tuesday night, because he rested a whole 11. He rested the whole 11 for Tuesday. So you're like, okay, cool. We're knocked out of the cup by Apia. Respect to Apia, cool. But you have to win the Saturday game. Yeah. There's no, and the only person that backed up from the Tuesday game was Truisi, and he was our best player. And it's just like, okay, well, you know, and MacArthur missing, you know, Devere missing Tommy Urich. Not that Tommy Urich is a starter at the moment for them, but still, they were missing some players, and we were at full strength.
Correct. Yeah.
And that's what you put together, and just showed the class of Ante Milicic making those 2 subs to change the game.
Yeah. And so can I ask, Kev, like, as a Wanderers fan, who would you like, what would you like to see change? Obviously, you want the manager to change, right?
I think the problem is, I think it's a hangover from last year, and that's why I think, to Lockie's point, you know, one win, 2 draws and a loss for any other team might not be the end of the world, but because it's a hangover from Robinson's season last season, he doesn't have so much more time, because we were expecting him to maybe get shown the door, and all of a sudden he's put this all together. What I'm looking to see is something needs to change in the way we play. Right, last year I think the formation was incorrect. We used to play a 5 at the back. I'm happy with our backline. Our backline this year is probably the best backline we've had for a while, with the exception of probably Aquilina, who hasn't quite hit his stride. But Traore, Katrimbis, and Reece Williams, amazing. Even the goalkeeper, you know, on point. I just think that, and to Lockie's point, this is our best Western Sydney 100%. Wanderers squad we've ever had. And whilst it's only 1 loss and people are calling for his head, the problem is it's still, we know what Robinson's about, and we know nothing's going to change. So the frustrating thing is, we beat Wellington, and that wasn't convincing. The Wellington win was the Tom Mohamed goal. Did it cross the line? We don't know. We got it. It was like, okay, take it. And then the second goal was as fortunate as you can be, where their keeper comes up to try and equalise, and we go down the other end and score. Yeah. So,
but the thing is that you know what this team is capable of. You know, that's why it's not the worst result you could get in the start of a season, but you know what you could be doing, what you should be doing. You know, so that's
with the exception of his form this year. Tell me which team wouldn't want Dimi Petratos.
Yeah.
Right? You say Dimi Petratos, I guarantee you 9 out of 12 teams in the A-League will take. Probably Melbourne City wouldn't take him because they don't need him. But a lot of other sides would take him, and he's been absolute.
But it's like what they were saying about Milutinic just before. Like he's pretty inconsistent. I think he always has been. He's a bit of a game breaker where he can change a game in the blink of an eye. But how often is he doing that really? And not just now, but like over the course of his career. Like he's got a highlight rule of goals and all that stuff. And he's an important player for any team he does play for. But I believe with his quality, he could be doing a bit more regularly as well.
Oh yeah, of course. And I think for Newcastle, he was probably more influential than anywhere else that he's been.
Yeah.
And that's probably what we remember as Wanderers fans. We're like, oh yeah, Dimi Petratos. He was at Newcastle. Bring him over. Just change the stripe, blue to black, and we're off we go.
Not so simple.
I'm going to stop my my rant, but I just want to give Robby an opportunity to touch on this game as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think Robbo is more like the merchant from the Emperor's New Clothes at the moment. You're definitely being sold a lemon, and unfortunately, as much as you want to give him the opportunity to continue and see if he can improve, after 4 rounds, and as you said, with a stellar squad like you have, how much more opportunity do you need to give someone before you realise a dud's a dud?
Yeah.
You don't want to be in a situation where you're heading 7, 8 rounds still with no additional wins or draws and losses. And then what you're basically doing is chucking a new manager or new coach in and going, right, you've got about 2 weeks to try and fix everything before everything turns to absolute shit.
Yeah.
So you're basically setting yourself up for failure straight away, and you're setting the new coach up for failure. So, unfortunately, I think it's one of those things where you need to start looking at it sooner rather than later, and get those hashtags trending or something.
Well, if we want to talk about upcoming fixtures, Central Coast, Melbourne City, Newcastle Jets. They're the next 3 for the Wanderers, right? So there was a point made on the podcast yesterday at RBTV1 in regards to I think one of the boys was saying give him 3 more games. They're the 3 games, right? You pick up no points out of those games. To Robbie's point right now, we're in a world of hurt because by then you're 8 games in or 7 games in, and you're playing catch up already.
And it sets in that when you're losing, it's hard to really break that streak of losses, man. Every game becomes harder and harder, more mental like warfare, And like Rob said, man, like they're gonna give him chance after chance until it's too late for the season to rescue anything.
Yep.
And then the new guy that comes in is in a world of shit already. Like he can't. It's tough, man. It's tough.
Yep. Sorry, go Robbie.
It almost feels like the players are telling you now he's lost the change room.
Oh, 100%.
The way they're playing at the moment.
And it's funny to say after one loss, right? After one loss, it's funny to say that, right? And you would probably never imagine it, but again, I think it's a sense of frustration from everybody at the club that things aren't quite where they need to be. It's been like this for a long time now. We haven't played finals football in 5 or 6 seasons, and it's just going to get worse. Only time will tell. But I do want to sort of sign off on this game with credit to MacArthur. They got the job done.
Yeah.
Lockie's point, they defended. They came out with a game plan. They're like, okay, well, we're going to strike after 60 minutes. Milicic puts on the subs. They go down there. They get one. Once they got the first one, it was pretty much game over because we knew we couldn't recover.
Yeah.
And the second one goes in, and you just hear all those boos. And the thing about booing is pretty tough because the players feel dejected, but really those boos were at Robinson.
Yeah.
And it's hard to differentiate sometimes. Yeah. But anyway, we move on to the roasting of Seba, hosted by Lachie. Central Coast yesterday, watching that game, wow. Like I'm not going to lie, I had 100 on Sydney. And then, I think, what was it, 19 minutes in, Lachie?
Yeah, it was, it was a fantastic start. And against the Sydney FC side, it was an interesting game because, Sydney FC have obviously have struggled so far this season. They've and even after this result's not looking good for them. But it's always a tough game against Sydney FC. I don't think the Mariners have beaten the Sydney FC at home before this game since 2017. So it's been a few years. But just, dude, that fantastic start. It was awesome. And, even though there was I think it was 6,000 fans there, it's electric when Mariners score and when we're on the ball moving forward, the excitement is just electric. And, Arenya, Maresh, the strikers up top combining. I can't pick a player for the Mariners who performed poorly in this game. Ollie Bozanic leading things from the midfield. He started that first goal. He won the ball and they got it moving quickly. Harry Steele, I could go on and on about the youngsters. I mean, the thing about me, like, I don't know if I can roast, Sydney FC too much, because it's more about, there's so much to be optimistic about from Mariners' point of view. And if you look at the second half, just from the Mariners' point of view, from the squad, half the team was our academy side. Jacob Farrell, Dan Hall, Sekenis, Matt Hatch, Harry Steele, Max Ballard. The thing that impresses me most is that these guys have defeated a Sydney FC side that has the likes of Milos Ninkovic, Palaretre, Lafondra, Wilkinson, these experienced, successful A-League players. And it's exciting to see that Nick Montgomery has got this side ticking over well. And, we've got a good balance of experience with Ollie Bozanic, Mark Birigidi, and then the young guys coming through. And then the final thing I want to say as well is that we've done this as well, missing our leading goal scorer from last season, Matt Simon, without our key import, Nikolai Muller, without our best centre-back, Ruan Tongic. These players are missing, and we performed this well. I'm very excited about this upcoming season. And but yeah, for Sydney FC, it's a disappointing result. And yes, a lot of work to be done for Steve Corica, that's for sure.
And look, and Seba, obviously to touch on Sydney, and there was a point raised there in regards to the players. Look, Sydney FC were also missing a few. So even today, I heard Barbarousse is out for a further 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And there was footage of Ninkovic on his phone at some point during the game. He was on the sideline. I don't really remember what was happening there, but it's not all smooth sailing. Midfielder that you've lost for the season, ACL.
Bratton. Yeah.
I mean, look, it's not going to plan.
It's not.
But you still expect more from Sydney FC.
100%. Like, they still got the players that should be winning games. Like, they play the ball well, but there's a bite missing to them that we had in previous years, and we still got the same players, which is bizarre. But it's a bit funny how we haven't gotten a win yet, and it doesn't seem so disastrous as it would for the Wanderers yet. And it's strange because I think expectations from each supporter base is fairly different. Like, Sydney FC, like, if we're not winning the title, that's a bad year. We're sitting here second last, and
no one's in panic mode.
It's pretty chill. Now, I don't know what's going to come now, but all we had in this game against Central Coast was we passed it okay, but nothing too dangerous. We had a couple chances, but I think that like the intensity that Central Coast showed, especially in the first half, was we couldn't quite reach that. And from then on, it was all them. They set the tone, they set the standard for the 90 minutes, and with some unlucky misses, we could never get back in. There's something going on at Sydney where it's just not clicking. It's not clicking, and they don't seem like themselves.
Can I ask your opinion on something?
Yeah.
Borja made a comment a couple of weeks ago. I remember in the preview show around the squad aging a little bit, and it's there wasn't a lot of ins or outs for the team. Do you think that's a factor here for this squad?
The age doesn't concern me because, like what I said on week one on the week one show, was the best players in the league tend to be the older players, right? And I think the experience in this league is currency. They have enough, regardless of the speed might be missing, but they're technically gifted. They're intelligent players, and they're not quite playing like that though. I think that it's just a slow start. I'm not too concerned. I still think they'll bounce back. Am I as confident as I was in week one? Absolutely not. But look, I think credit to Central Coast, man. Like they pulled it off. It's a fantastic win for them, and they're looking good. Like you said, like it's a time to be excited for the fans.
100%, especially being Central Coast Mariners fan. Again, like I said, building on last season. But Robbie, your thoughts on this game?
I look at it this way: you guys never had a chance, not after that publicity from Marvin, the mascot. I mean, what can you say? He has to be one of the best mascots in this country, if not the world. I can't lie. When they dropped the wallpaper of Marvin, it took me all my effort not to put it on my background, my phone. It was glorious.
I've missed it. I haven't seen what that's all about. Maybe Lachie can send me something.
You've got to jump on Twitter. Honestly, Marvin has to be one of the best shit posters going out there. I mean, like, he's even given Bozza a run for his money, and that's saying something.
Okay.
No, but look, honestly, full credit to Central Coast Mariners. I mean, you've got some really good squad talent, and I almost fell off my chair when I realised Noah Smith really hasn't even had even a minute with you guys, and he was an absolute gun for us in the NPL youth. So yeah, I mean, I look at it this way: the F3 derbies are just going to heat up even further. I think for the rest of the season. I think those will be the matches to watch at the moment of the way both Jets and Central Coast Mariners are going. But look, ever since the ball boy incident in the FFA Cup, I've always had a particular disdain towards the Sydney boys. So seeing them on the losing ends, if we didn't lose on Saturday night, this is close to a victory for me.
You know what success brings that, Seba? It's a team that you love to hate type thing.
Only
but
the best cop that treatment.
Well, and look, credit to Sydney FC. Their stature amongst the league is just amazing, and
but it's not enough to win your games, like we just learned. Step up. It's our history. It doesn't affect our future. Like we gotta.
But what it does give you is that confidence that you can turn it around, right?
Yeah, of course.
It's not all doom and gloom, and we've seen the rise and falls of a lot of clubs within the A-League, but Sydney's always remained that consistency, even when they weren't doing well, but they had Del Piero.
Yeah.
So Del Piero was bringing in crowds, and they've finished 6th and 7th, I think, in those 2 seasons, but it was still Sydney FC.
Still, I get what you're saying. But look, what I've noticed over the years is that while we have kept the majority of our starting 11, the players we bring in to replace the players that have left, they're not up to the same caliber. And I see that the ratio from top class players to the benches, let's just say, it's growing more in favor of the benches now. They're not quite up to par with the Ninkovic's and the Lafondras. There's a bigger gap in quality between the players, and soon all these players that we're getting used to seeing for Sydney FC, they're going to be gone.
Yeah.
And what's waiting for us after that, though?
You could almost, based on experience, pick the lineup.
Yeah, pretty much. That's right.
Can I also say, I think the biggest downfall for Sydney have been relying on such a star-talented lineup. Mm-hmm. You guys have very little tapped into the natural resources that you would have in the youth leagues, the NPLs. You look at squads at the moment who are leading the way. A lot of them are coming from their youth development squads. Majority of clubs around Australia at the moment in the A-League, you have a look and you've got at least 2 or 3 of Adelaide boys, or you've got Newcastle, you got Central Coast Mariners. It's the smaller clubs at the moment have realised to tap into the natural talents that we have growing up around the NPLs, the league, state league 1s, the state league 2s, and I think that's probably where it's hurting you most at the moment, because you can't tell me COVID hasn't hurt you, because you haven't been able to build on the stellar forces. Most clubs around the world aren't letting go their players because they don't want to be in the situation where they've got no potential of drawing someone in because of potential COVID situations. So, a lot of players are going, well, I'm just going to stick where I am at the moment because at least I know I've got safety in a contract, and I've also got the opportunity of knowing that I'm not about to walk into a COVID hotspot. So that's probably the biggest killer for you guys as well. You've had 2 years of, pretty bad COVID situation. So that's not going to help either.
And I think just to finally touch on that is what better than growing up in that region and playing for your club and playing for the badge, right? Yeah. The youth is everything, and like he's been saying, he's been going to the game since he was a kid, and same with yourself, Seba, and I'm sure that Robby's the same as well. And what better to see that kid rise through the ranks, and you're like, hey, I remember when he used to play youth league, NPL, whatever it might be. Nothing more rewarding, I think, than seeing the young lads go out there and represent the team that they've been. For us, forgot his name right now, but he used to be a ball boy, and his name's escaped me. I'm really disappointed that it has. Wilmering, correct. Wilmering. Started as a ball boy and ended up, starting for the team in the starting squad. So amazing, to see that kind of thing. The natural progression of being a fan and into playing.
It's the local game, man.
The first team.
Even not just seeing somebody you play against them on the field, and you're like, hey, I played against that guy. I played with him even. And
that's right.
They are,
But look, that wraps up round 4. What we will do, as always, guys, we'll go into some predictions for round 5. So I've got the games here. What we'll do is I'll read out the games. Seba, you can go first, and we'll go to Robby, and then Lachie, then myself. First one, Friday night, is Western United taking on Adelaide United.
I'm going to go to for Adelaide in that one. I reckon Adelaide will get the win.
Score?
I do, yeah. 2-0.
2-0 Adelaide. There you go, Robbie. You can follow on with that.
You're a lot more hopeful than I am.
Nah.
Look, I'm hoping for a win, so I'm going to go with the heart and say a 2-1 win.
Okay, Lachie?
And honestly, I think I'm going to go for another 1-0 win for Western United. They're 3 1-0 wins in a row. I think they're just going to keep that trend going. Another 1-0.
I'm going to tag on with you, Lachie, because unfortunately, I don't see Adelaide having what it takes to get the goal. I think it's still something that's in the works. But hopefully, I'm proven wrong. But I'm going to stick to a 1-0 as well. We then move on to. Should we just skip the Wanderers game? We know what's going to happen there. Second home game of the season for Central Coast, playing the Western Sydney Wanderers.
Yeah.
Seba?
I'm going to go for a draw for that one.
Okay.
I'm going to go for a draw. Sometimes you get a big result. There's a bit of a come down the next week,
Okay.
And I think that a draw for Central Coast would feel like a loss, but it's not a loss.
Mate, it'll feel like we won the championship.
For you guys, it'll be amazing.
Robbie?
I'm going to say 3-1 to Central Coast Mariners.
Yep, fair. Lachie?
And well, on the back of last week's results, I think Mariners, we should be confident to get the win. But Wanderers will be looking, especially, after losing last week, they'll be wanting to get the win. So it's going to be tough. I'm going to go 2-1 Mariners. Yeah,
it's a bit of a tough one for me because I think about, we'll have some sort of travelling support going up that way, so it won't be all Central Coast, but I just think another home game, heading into, the festive season, people are going to be out there having a good time, watching a game. I'm out of respect for Central Coast. I'm not going to say that we're going to win. I'm going to call it a draw. I'm going to say a 1-1 draw. Even though I don't believe that, but
he's lying to everyone.
I'm fooling everyone now.
You're part of the problem, Kev. What's going on?
That's it. Fans fooling the fans. A Melbourne derby, Melbourne City versus Melbourne Victory.
I reckon Victory get the win this week. Yep. Yeah. I reckon they'll win. They'll win.
There you go, Robbie.
I'm hoping for 8 red cards, just so we can wipe out both the clubs. Be beautiful. Nah, look, I'm probably going to go for a 2-2 draw.
Okay, that'd be a good game.
Lachie?
Yeah, it's a fascinating game, and I can't wait for it. It's going to be really interesting. But I'm a little bit more optimistic about Melbourne Victory so far this season compared to Melbourne City. So I reckon Victory 2-1.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go Victory 3-1 for this one. I think there's a lot for them to be vengeful for after the 13-0 drubbing over the 2 legs that they had last year. So, if anything, they've got to do it for their fans, and their fans have come out in force this year. So,
yeah.
Really hope that the Victory pick up that one. We've got, sort of a struggle for the cellar dwellers, the Brisbane Roar versus Perth Glory.
Yeah, I reckon Perth will get the win this week against Brisbane. I do. So I'm going to say 2-0.
I'm going to add an additional one. Sturridge plays or doesn't play? Brisbane a bit warmer.
He gets 25 minutes. He gets 25 minutes.
25 minutes.
He's late from the beach.
Robbie?
So I'm going to go Perth Glory. I'm going to say 3-0. And Sturridge doesn't start because someone messed up his hair.
At the beach, yeah, at the beach.
At the beach. Lachie?
I reckon this is the game where Brisbane finally get the win. I'm going to go 2-1 Brisbane.
All right. I'm going to say it's going to be a stalemate. It's going to be probably a 0 or draw. And Sturridge doesn't play at all. Doesn't make the trip to Brisbane.
Reckon you put that on a multi?
I'm going to try.
Feature?
I'm going to try. I'm going to call up Bet365 and see what they've got for me. Here we go. Oh, this is actually not a bad one.
It's a great game.
MacArthur Bulls at home at Campbelltown Stadium. They fixed the pitch. At Campbelltown Stadium against Newcastle Jets. What a game. Newcastle Jets on the up and MacArthur sitting first.
It's hard to go past Newcastle with the win they just had. But it's a bloody tough game, Kev. I think I can see 1-0 MacArthur. 1-0 MacArthur.
Okay, here we go. They're going to keep the roll on, Robbie.
This is actually a really tough one. I'm going to go Newcastle. I do think that they've got the goods this season. I reckon, though, it's going to be a tight one. I reckon it's going to be a 1-0.
Okay, unders in that one. And Lachie?
Yeah, I can't wait for this one as well. It's going to be really interesting because it's sort of like the best defense in McCarthy coming up the best attack in the Jets. Interestingly enough, though, I think this is the first time Jets are coming up against a side this season that are playing three at the back. So it'll be interesting to see how they cope with that. I'm going to go 1-1. It's too hard to split.
Yeah, look, I want to cheer for Newcastle in this one, just purely based on how they've been playing. So I'm going to go 3-0.
Wow.
I'm going to go 3-0. Once they open it up, they're going to open it up. This three at the back. The tiki-taka you're talking about outside the box and the pace that Newcastle have, I reckon they get one, they get two, and then they'll finish it off. Because whilst we lost to MacArthur, I still don't believe they're sitting first on the table. They haven't shown me enough to say, I know defensively they're strong, but it still hasn't convinced me that they're the team to beat. I think if anything, maybe a Newcastle or somebody else is the team to beat, not so much MacArthur, but we'll see.
Interesting. We'll see.
Your boys end the round. So we've got Sydney FC versus Wellington Phoenix. Surely Sydney FC pick up the first win.
It has to be the first win, man. I'm gonna say 2-0. 2-0 Sydney. Bobo gets his first goal.
There you go. Robbie?
I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I reckon Phoenix are going to be, licking some wounds after that drumming from Jets. So I think they're going to be back out in force.
Cool. Lachie?
Yeah, two teams that need to win, but yeah, I reckon Sydney FC get the win here, 1-0.
Only because your cousin said something on the first podcast, am I not going to go for Sydney FC here? I'm going to go because he did say Ufuk Talay is a really good manager, and he's gotten a fair bit out of Wellington Phoenix. So, out of respect for his insight, I'm going to say a 1-1 draw. Still no win for Sydney, hopefully, and it continues for another 20-odd rounds. But boys, what we will do, we'll sign off, and before we do, I'm just going to go around the grounds and let you guys plug your socials. So, Robbie, if you can go first.
Yeah, so you can follow me on Twitter where I do most of my shit posting at RobDogs87, or follow us on the Red Army AUFC, Facebook, Twitter, Insta, the whole works.
Awesome. And Lachie?
Yeah, Coastford Football on all the social media platforms, all sorts of talk around the A-League and Central Coast Mariners.
Yeah, some really good content there on both those social media platforms. Please like, share, and subscribe. Seba, thanks for joining me as co-host. Really appreciate it, boys. Thanks for sharing your insights today. Again,
Cheers.
we will see you guys on the next one, and bye for now.